Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim. With me, of course, are Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Right on!
And we're picking up where we left off, talking about the Dominion War. We're at the start of Season 6 of Deep Space Nine now. Before that, though, we've got a little bit of Trek news, which was that the Strange New Worlds trailer dropped, including the live-action Boimler and Mariner.
Do you know, what I love is when you watch the trailer, you don't really see it, but someone shared some stills with us. And if you look at the stills, you can see where his hair's a dark shade of purple. And also, they've done a really canny makeup job where it just gives a suggestion of cartoon. It's just a little slightly over makeup, but not so much it looks ridiculous for live action. Mm-hmm. It just looks like he's got a cartoonesque face. Yeah. It's such a great job. And with her, they've kind of like matched hair tones to make it look a bit more cartoony as well.
The revelation for me was Mariner's hair, that she's got like curly hair, whereas the animated character doesn't look like she has, which I just thought was really interesting.
Going out to one side.
Yeah.
It's towards one side, but I mean it's like wavy. I'm not good at describing hair.
I think it's just basically. I think it's basically it's like her natural hair's got slightly less subtle curls, or like they've got more lively. Yeah, whereas the cartoon is in there, but it's just
like they've obviously gone for characters who look. Voice actors who actually look like the characters, because they obviously have thoughts that this might happen at some point.
Yeah.
Well, there's some of the other ones you wouldn't get away with this with, but yeah, like Joey O'Connell doesn't look really like his character.
Yeah.
No.
Or sound like it, which is weird. I don't know how they make his voice sound like that. I know I say this every time, but it weirds me out because I know Joey O'Connell's voice. I watched every episode of Sliders multiple times. It's just so weird to hear his voice so different in that.
Yeah.
The funny these actors, how they can act differently.
Fuck you.
No, I'm not going to go at you. I'm just saying it's.
No, that would have been a great Mickey take.
You know what, Jim? It's almost as if they're acting.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Fuck you all. The thing is, it's like most actors just to change your voice that much is actually really difficult. So just fair play to him that he's.
No, you've got your classic like Sean Connery with his Russian accent and his Irish accent that he won an Oscar for somehow.
Let's not forget his Spanish, His
Spanish accent, Egyptian. It was Egyptian.
Oh, sorry, Egyptian. Pardon me. Sorry, I make it sound like, of course, it didn't sound Spanish. It sounded dead on Egyptian.
Well, that's it exactly.
But yeah, it's like with the curly hair though. The same thing with the purple hair. It's like they've done enough to give a suggestion of what is in the cartoon without, they realize that they are human beings whose hair will only do so many things. And if you get bright purple, actually, they could have done bright purple. There's no reason why in the future they couldn't.
There's no reason why they couldn't have done bright purple, but you only get a few spikes and people's hair really like that, but it's how they do animation styles.
Yeah, exactly. It's the stylized look of it. I really like it from what we've seen. I think it all looks great.
Like the reviews and all that, it's like directed by Jonathan Frakes is the episode. And they say that the whole episode is just a comic caper.
Yeah, which is great. That's what we want.
It sounds fun that they brought Lower Decks crew into one of the other shows, and they're making that other show Lower Decks show for the episode.
But I think Strange New Worlds, it's probably one of the shows which can get away with it the best because it's so fun. It's not silly always, but it is fun. It can be silly. It can get away with silly.
Which is what the original series was. The original series was fun. It could be serious, but it was also some really fun episodes to watch as well.
Well, if you look at Lower Decks, though, you could put Deep Space Nine. You put Lower Decks and Deep Space Nine as they did. Yeah. You couldn't put Deep Space the the other way around. You can put Deep Space Nine Lower Decks, but you couldn't put Lower Decks in Deep Space Nine. Really, for the tone, I think that would be a bit more of a difficult one.
Yeah.
Same thing with Next Generation, even really, and Voyager probably so. But like you say, Strange New Worlds, where it's harking back to the original series,
it's got that versatility to pull it off. Absolutely,
60s largesse you can get away with.
Yeah, and Elliot, you were about to tell me a theory that you were having.
I have a theory, and I reckon this is going to be a transporter accident.
Ooh.
Because one of the clips we get is Spock saying bye as they're beaming out on the transporter. So I'm thinking that they're transporting them back the way that they come in. So they'll accidentally...
Could be.
Yeah, that's the only thing that bugged me. I mean, very triflingly, it's not a big complaint, but I wish they wouldn't show us the end of an episode, because that's clear. Yeah. If that... I mean, I'd be very surprised if that is... Yeah,
it might not be. The end of the episode. It might not be, so it might be a complete red herring.
Well, where else in the episode do you do that? Goodbye, Boimler, and give him the sleep. That's such an exit moment.
And Boimler got it wrong.
Yeah.
It's like Squee, I know you went to see the modern masterpiece that is Fast 10 recently, as did I. And the trailers showed multiple scenes, final action scene in that, which, it's just, you shouldn't do it in trailers. There used to be a rule in Hollywood that the trailer, you never included anything from the last, I think it was 3 reels, as it was at the time.
Yeah.
Or basically the third act of the movie. You weren't supposed to put anything from it in a trailer. And they just don't do that anymore. They don't follow that.
This is what I'm worried about with the Flash movie. As much as it looks like, I cannot wait to see Michael Keaton as Batman.
I'm going to say, do you mean Batman 3?
You mean Batman 3?
Yeah, exactly. Batman 3. They should have saved the reveal of the Batmobile. Just had, in the first trailer, they did it like he was pulling off the sheet and then it cut away. That's perfect. You know what's under there. You don't need to see it.
Yeah.
You could have saved that for the screen. You've had him going, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. It's this fucking catchphrase. I'm Batman. Who didn't want to hear that on the big screen for the first time? I love those moments. I'll still love them in the cinema, but it would have been so much more impactful to me if I'd heard it for the first time on the big screen since back then.
I've got a theory why they're doing this as well. But I'll let James go with his first, because
I think it's a bit of their arms being forced a little bit, that because of the whole Ezra Miller situation, which we won't get into, I think that they've realised, right, we've got to advertise this on Michael Keaton's Batman. I think they would have held back more had
that's very
the supposed star of the film been a bit more marketable at this moment in time.
Yeah, I also think that it might be to do with the fact that the last couple of DC movies have massively underperformed compared to everything. So they're putting things in to get people to go.
Most of DC has. It's like,
but
even in the teaser, I think you're both right. I think you're completely right. That's why. However, they're idiots. I'm sorry, but they should know that everyone was already so excited. Look, let's face it.
As soon as you went Michael Keaton.
And weren't we all checking the news every day going, it's like, please don't say they've killed anyone. Please don't say they killed. No, Ezra Miller hasn't killed anyone. He's an abhorrent, they are an abhorrent person, but they haven't killed anyone. We can get away with watching it. So, let's face it, short of him murdering someone, and there's certain offenses where he would have crossed the line. They would have crossed the line. Pardon me, sorry. I'm sorry for anyone who offended with that. They. However, yeah, let's face it, we were bending our ethical code as much as we can while still being able to live with ourselves.
Yeah.
And then there was the other thing where it was like Keaton was announced and it was all looking good, and then COVID hit. And it was the Flash's filming in England, and Michael Keaton's he's a very canny bloke, is Michael Keaton. Because he went, well, I'm a bit worried about COVID safety. What about if we give you another couple of million? Actually, England looks pretty COVID safe. I think I can go film that film there.
For a couple of million, I can get a vent mask onto my bat mask.
Let's be fair here. England was about as safe as America during COVID.
That's very true.
I think that's a very politically safe way to put it.
I was going to say, look, I hate it. The apple I'm eating is going to stick in my throat as I say this, but I think Boris Johnson might have done a better job than Donald Trump. Okay, I can give him that much. That's the one thing I can get. Anything else, like he should be in jail right now, but I think he might have done a better job than in America. We got there quicker. Actually, to be honest with you, in spite of Boris Johnson, we got there quicker. But
yes,
he was a PM at the time, so he gets the win.
Fair enough. Well, let's move from real-world politics to Cardassian, Bajoran, Dominion, Federation politics, and we'll have a look at the season 6 premiere, A Time to Stand. And I mentioned this last week. We talked about the final shot of the episode was them joining the fleet, and because people had this in their head that means, they're going to retake the station straight away. That's why this episode starts immediately with a shot of a destroyed fleet. It's to show you straight away, like, no, that fleet didn't go and retake the station immediately.
It tried to do something else badly.
Yeah, it didn't work out very well for them. So that's why if you watch the episodes back to back, you get that juxtaposition of the big heroic fleet and then a somewhat battered fleet straight away.
I would still say, though, since last week I've been thinking about it, I still don't see that. I get how people got there. But just because they joined a fleet, to me, it didn't necessarily mean that. To me, that's, I'm not saying it was ridiculous for
the thing is that we've got 20 odd years that we've been rewatching this. So if you think about the first time you see it, it does look like a cliffhanger, but you know what's coming now.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So it doesn't. So even though you're trying to rewatch it in that, no matter what you try to do, you know what is coming next, so you can't put yourself in that same.
It's true, but I'm trying to sort of take myself out of it. Like if I was watching this for the first time, and I don't remember, like I'm not saying that I remember every feeling I had when watching Star Trek, but honestly, some stuff really sticks in my mind. What I was thinking at the time, a lot of it does, because to all of us, this was gold. This was manna from heaven. So it's like I don't remember what I felt when I watched this, but I don't remember thinking that, if that makes sense.
No, I can't remember what I thought, to be honest, but that's why we open with that shot.
Yeah.
And then we move on to Bashir and Garak, and this is good Bashir. This is how I like Bashir now that he's been outed as a genetically enhanced person. Yeah, and so he gets to do all this showing off, and he's got all this where he's working out percentages, and there's a 32.7% chance of survival.
And it was when Garak. What I love about this is because they show even with O'Brien, who loves Bashir, you can tell he feels threatened sometimes by his superior intellect. Like the Dart stuff, it's played comedically, but I think there's a suggestion that he really does feel threatened. Garak, on the other hand, he's going, brilliant. I can have so much more fun with him now. Like now I don't have to hide my intelligence to wind him up. Like I can go to the top of my game. Like this will be a challenge, and no one challenges him.
Yeah.
I think
I could bring my A game.
Yeah. And then it might not be enough. That excites him.
Yeah, because Bashir, presumably part of his augmentation with his intelligence is he can read people very well. He's probably known a lot longer when Garak's been lying than what Garak thought. So, yeah, he's probably has got to really up his game now.
Here's the thought. Garak goes up to Bashir, like in that first episode that he's in, and kind of introduces himself. Do you think he might have somehow known or suspected? Like, I know it's retconning. I know, of course, we know they didn't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter within the world. Yeah, maybe that was something he was drawn to, that he got an impression from him, because Garak can tell when people are hiding things, even if it's very subtly. So he got an impression that this guy, there's something else about him.
Yeah, I noticed that he saw that. Like I saw him seeing that thing, and then he acted as if he did. Like those little things that most of us would miss. Garak would totally see. That's really,
he would. That's really interesting. I like that a lot.
Oh, I love that theory. I just came up with it in a second.
Yeah, I really like that. That's the great thing about it. Like every time we think of something new about Bashir and Garak, you're like, I need to rewatch the whole series again just to focus on them two.
You could do a Garak and Bashir series, the ones where they're really interacting together almost of shows.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
if
can
only we
actually
had a
you-
podcast that we could do things like that on.
You can actually make the first few series as well, which like I don't think are as bad as people remember. But
No, they're not at all.
at the same time, there are so much more interesting if you think of like Bashir lying all the time throughout all the episodes.
I think-
There's a few bits which don't work, but mostly it actually works really well. You just have to remember he's lying.
Yeah, it does.
The first season suffered from still trying to do next gen again, but tried to do next gen again while he trapped on the space station with just a big space shuttle to go,
Yeah.
a big shuttlecraft to go exploring in. So it really cut down on what they could do. So
The first season of
you ended up with a lot of bizarre incidents happened on the station, and why had nothing like this ever happened before at that station.
the first season of DS9, it could from the exact same writers' room as TNG, which I'm not saying that in a way to knock it. But by the time you get to season 3, when Ira Stephen Bear takes over, it's a different show, and it's notably a different show.
It finds its own thing. It decides to be its own thing and not just to be Star Trek Next Generation again.
Yeah, which is how we wind up with this ongoing war storyline. But meanwhile, Worf and Dax have got to get married, and they have this little bit where apparently Worf's been fretting for weeks about when they're going to sacrifice the tag.
Tell her you've been moaning about this all week.
You have not shut up for 5 weeks.
It's so great.
Tell her. No, tell her now. I have been listening about this. You tell her what you've been saying for 5 weeks. I am not listening again after this.
Although, and look, I'll say it as a vegan.
And Dax speaks like, fine.
I think he's right. I think you sacrifice, and like if you like, surely it's symbolic that you're, even if you're not eating the tug, it's symbolic that you're eating the tug. That's why you sacrifice it. You sacrifice it after the feast. What the fuck? Like that's adding insult to injury for killing that tug if you do it afterwards. I actually agree with him.
Even where it's great, and it works both ways. It's not a gender dynamic thing. It is just a couples dynamic where you've got one thinks something is incredibly important, and the other one just goes, okay. Well, and that's it.
I have no problem. I have no problem doing this, and it's bothered you for like a month.
Yeah, and it's good that it's Worf who's the one going through this. Just that juxtaposition of Worf being the one who's getting really stressed about something is great.
You can throw it the other way as well. I mean, like, and by the way, I'm saying this, and this was canonically in Deep Space Nine. They've shown them doing this. Like, if Dax wanted to go for a spar with Kira, which they've done on the show, so I'm not just being sexist or anything. I don't think Worf's going to go, oh, but no, he's going, fight. Do I have to go? No, brilliant. Go for it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
With honor. And also in the scene, just very quickly,
with honor.
You've got Martok here. I just love the fact that he says something which, like, for me is a subtly really great line. It's when he goes like, Klingons make great warriors, lousy physicians. And it's like, I get the feeling this is one safe space he can say that in. Like, if he said that to any Klingon, like Klingon doctor, but I think secretly this just shows he enjoys a bit of bedside manner, but he can't admit it. He likes being a little bit when he's getting.
Well, we saw the banter between him and Bashir last time, didn't we? Where Bashir's done bleed all on the floor, and I think he actually enjoys that with Bashir.
Yeah, and I think also when
Bashir fixes him up, but he's also not scared to sort of talk back to him, and Klingons appreciate that being talked.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think that, like, when the Klingon doctor's operating on your shoulder, he probably like wrenches it purposefully a little bit hard, and you're not a good warrior if you don't like sit there and just take it. Whereas, like, he gets a bit of rest there.
And I think
if you take an anesthetic, you are not going to starve a car.
That's it.
Whereas he's a Bashir, anesthetic, don't anesthetic.
On Stovacol, they check your piss when you get there, and if there's anything. But I think it's also probably Martok is in this really privileged position because probably all Klingons know Klingon doctors are crap, and they've probably heard how great Federation doctors are. But because of the pride and their honour, they can't go to a Federation doctor. But because Martok's been in this life and death situation with Bashir, and they've shared their war stories and they've shared the honour, he can justify going to it.
And Bashir was his position while he was fighting.
Exactly. So he can now justify it. But if anyone else on the crew goes to it, he can still mock them and go, Federation doctor.
So
I only go to him because he shared the war with me.
Yeah.
Well, I think Bashir now
I've never thought of that, but that makes perfect sense. I'm sold on that.
Bashir's got the same kind of status as Dax now, like almost honorary through his valor and tales of good deeds.
Martok can claim he is my personal position.
That's it. And Martok will probably have people, coming up to him like, "Can I go see Dr. Bashir?" "No, I am the only one who will suffer the dishonor of a Federation doctor."
And he's going, it's like, "Oh, how do we know he tended to your wounds? Do you want to hear the opera again? I'll play it for you."
Yeah, I'll play it. I'll just go get my isolinear rod because I've not made a copy yet.
Okay, just go and see the doctor. Fine, I don't want to hear it again.
It's not on Dakify. I need to go get my thing and change it over.
Well, amongst the clans, it's very dishonourable to copy your operas. You've got to have the original stock.
That's it. Bashir, right. So, okay, as you know, Bashir's like my favourite character, and I love giving more screen time, absolutely. But he seems to be pulling a rather odd duty at the minute because he turns up to Cisco and gives him a report on the 7th Fleet, and it's like, why is the doctor bringing you a report on...
Why is he getting the report?
Because of his statistical genius, he can probably decode and get the report to you in 5 seconds, whereas someone else would have to work out all the figures.
So because they now know he's hyper intelligent, he gets all the shitty jobs. Like, right, we got a load of data, Bashir.
Yeah, but it's not just that we've got a load of data. And you've been ordered back to Starbase. It's like, why is that? But it's not just that he's got the data on the 7th Fleet. It's also got and you've got an order to come back to Starbase. Why is that gone through the doctor before she?
Yeah, why has it come to the infirmary first? But anyway,
Section 31. That's why.
Okay, we'll go with that. And then Cisco breaks the table, and apparently this was unplanned. This was Avery Brooks hit it too hard.
Oh, nice.
Because within the Star Trek canon, that table is not made out of glass. That's made out of transparent aluminium or whatever.
That's what I was thinking.
So it shouldn't break, and I think they knew that, but they were like, you know what, that's just cool.
I was going to say, anything like that which happens on set, like that gets my... Like before, I was going to pick up on that for the same reason as you just said. But no, if it just happened in the room, that's...
it just happened.
Something like that.
No, that's it. And it's, you know what, I'm sure we can make up... You know what? It's because Cisco's part prophet and his hand transcended the time-space thing as he hit it, and that's how it could break it.
There you go. Because there's a great... there's a few versions of this, but do you know the film It's a Wonderful Life?
Yes.
There's a scene where his uncle drunkenly walks off screen, and that was meant to be it, and he was just meant to have walked into the distance. Mm-hmm. At the same moment as he walked off, someone knocked it over some film cans. They were going to get fired, but basically just James Stewart reacted as if the guy had just fallen, and he goes, "Ooh," and then so they not only did they not get fired, they got a bonus payment for additional sound effects. I love anything like that which just happens on the day.
They are great, these little quick. Just one more. We will get back to Deep Space Nine, but you know the Wicker Man, the original Wicker Man, not the bees,
not the
good one. And obviously, the last shot of it, the Wicker Man's head falls over to reveal the sun directly behind it. And that was a bit of luck while they were filming it, because obviously when they set it alight, they didn't know exactly when the head was going to drop off, and you couldn't CGI the sun to be in exactly the right spot and everything. But I mean, that's exactly what you do now. Yeah. But when you look at it, it's absolutely perfect framing and perfect timing. And it was just fortuitous that it fell at the exact time it did, and the camera caught it perfectly. And you couldn't have done it again in a million years until CGI and everything else.
It wouldn't be a real Wicker Man. That'd be
No.
CGI. It wouldn't be real fire. That'd be CGI. And it wouldn't be a real sun. That'd be CGI.
Exactly. So you'd get the shot, but it wouldn't look as good. And you'd also have Nicolas Cage there going, not the bees.
Unless you've got one of these directors who've just got that big that they can go, oh, Sonnet, I'm going to build a whole city in the desert because I can.
Christopher Nolan would probably do that. I mean, there was concern when he was making this Oppenheimer film that he'd probably going to set off a real atom bomb, which hopefully he hasn't. Back on the station then, and this is where we start to get this lovely politicking between Dukat and Damar and Kira and Odo and Weyoun. And it's just brilliant. Just all the little subtle sort of microaggressions between all of them. Like you've got Dukat doesn't want Bajoran security. Weyoun's starting to order Damar around. Like the bit where he says, don't look at him, do what I'm telling you.
Go.
Yeah, but Damar's still subservient to Dukat, even though he shouldn't be. And
this whole, like, all the opening scenes in the separate areas, they are so wonderfully tense. Everyone's tension is right there on the screen, so well done. Like, even to the point, even though he's kind of completely subordinate, when Bashir goes like, we're going to run out of ships, Captain. And like any other time, he'll get his ass grilled for that. But everyone's just been through it. Like, they're so raw at that time. Cisco lets go. And you know that's a huge jump for Cisco.
Well,
like you say, everyone's got their tensions. Everyone's got a reason to mistrust each other.
Well, you have it from O'Brien, don't you? He's there. We've spent the last 3 months run away. Just once I'd like to see them running away from us. Yeah,
it's the moment when you've got, though, that in this room particularly, like where you've got Dukat and Damar, Weyoun and Kira. And they've like it's like a Mexican standoff, which is never spoken about, and it's just so great. Like it sets the scene so well that you know the inevitable kind of breakdown of things between the Kardashians.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. And
this is also, you can look at this as being the start of the hero of Cardassia as well. That the Dominion, how they ordering her about that. Day, not for Cardassia, they are overruling how they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Dukat has effectively, he's sold his entire species for his own ego, and he's trying to justify to himself that that's not what he's done. But it absolutely
he has
is.
a conversation with Kira later, doesn't he?
Oh, the stuff between him and Kira, it's like he has never seen more evil or more predatory towards her. Like this is him. Like we've previously seen him being predatory from a position of weakness or a position of at least equal at best. But we've never seen him being this pervy on her from a position of strength, and he relishes it. He brings it straight to the forefront. It's so well acted, but so creepy to watch. It's just such a stunning job on that scene as well.
One other thing that I picked up on is there's a bit of a throwaway line where they're talking about the minefield. And Weyoun says the progress on the minefield is going very slow. And it occurred to me this time, do you think Dukat's doing that on purpose?
I thought that this time when I watched it.
Yeah, because he knows.
He's deliberately keeping the Dominion numbers down. So they don't overswarm Cardassia.
That's it. As soon as that wormhole's open, there is nothing to stop the Dominion throwing as many troops onto Cardassia as they want to do. But for now,
control of Cardassia.
Yeah,
at the moment he's still keeping himself on a level play, on almost. It's not quite level with them, but he's not far.
Yeah.
But as soon as they get all them troops, it's going to be like that.
He's got enough leverage, basically, to pretend that he's equal. Even though, the second that he really did anything to piss off Weyoun goes, in your place, bitch. Like, he still does. But he gives him a little bit of rope first. It's like the whole thing with the Bajorans. I think he wouldn't have given crap. He would just gone, Bajorans can get their weapons back. That's fine. And it wouldn't matter what Kardashian and Dukat said. But here he gives them a little bit of like, just give him a concession. That'll shut them the fuck up while I wait for my troops to come through. Then I don't have to listen to this prick ever again.
That's it. And that's Weyoun's attitude to it all.
I got exactly the same as you, this rewatch of it. That Dukat
I didn't think of it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I think also, I think it's also, I was completely forgotten what I was going to say. Never mind.
Never mind.
And No, it's gone.
So Quark's not minding it as an occupation goes. And that's quite telling that he's like, look, it's not as bad. There's not a big segregation. There's not. They're not making you mind shit on the promenade, you know.
I've not got my bar full of Bajorans, literally too tired to drink or anything, just collapsing and finish his shit.
And lest we forget another line where like he would get killed on Ferenginar for saying, I'm not just worried about profit. Sacrilege. But here, he knows he's safe to say it. Like, he can admit that he does actually care about other things, which they do show throughout, as it goes forward, especially.
And it plants the first seeds of where we see Kira next episode, because as occupations go, it is quite a cozy occupation. And Kira, you would think, would be the last person to fall for that and to start to relax. And that's what we get next episode, is her realizing that that's what's going on. But the seeds of it are planted here. It's great.
But she does say, she asks Odo to get involved, and then she complains when Odo gets involved later. Like, that's the only bit where I'm going, stay in your lane. Come on, look, you asked him to make this request for you. He then
she does apologise to her, doesn't she? But that's
she does.
That's because she has a moment of clarity in the next episode and realizes that she's a collaborator.
Oh, completely. No, I know, but
and
I
she
just
doesn't like it at all.
But it's like here, she directly asked him to make this request.
Yeah.
And he sees the natural extension to this, which I think it is to when he gets offered a place in the council. Brilliant. We're on the inside now. And she gets.
I think with Kira, it's a lack of self-awareness, which she does find the next episode. I think she's looking at everyone else thinking, why aren't you fighting it? Why aren't you doing everything you can to undermine it? But the penny hasn't dropped yet that at the moment she's not doing that either. And I think maybe that's why she's pushing Odo to do something and getting arsey with him when he's not doing enough in her eyes. And then it's next episode, she goes, oh, wait a minute, what am I doing? I've got this guy bringing me coffee. It's
not even enough. It's like, right, I asked you to do this one thing. The fact that you did the next logical step, I'm pissed with, because it's almost like I think she is someone who feels the need to be in charge of the strategy. Someone goes kind of and does something on their own back. I don't think...
Maybe.
I think it's that bit of control she's got in all the chaos, maybe. The other thing I did remember what I was going to say before with Wayne, and it's throughout this episode, so it's not very specific to this bit, but he gives this laugh in that scene particularly, where it's like, it's perfect, because it sounds like if a computer programs someone to laugh, it's like, ha, 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 like he's trying to ease the tension, but it's such an awkward, nervous laugh, which where he's genetically engineered, it's like, it's what the founders kind of think a laugh might sound like.
It's like a fake work laugh, which makes sense for a genetically engineered bureaucrat. It's...
there was Pendulum Penn and Teller says this thing about like kids swearing. It's like they know the words but not the tune. It's like it feels a bit like that. They know all the words to program into him to be a diplomat, but not the tune of diplomacy. There's a certain flow to it. There's a certain way you talk, and they don't know that, and that's why. And perfectly acted out by him, I've got to say.
And arguably, to an extent, he doesn't need to know, because Dominion diplomacy only goes so far, then they shoot everybody. So he doesn't...
But I bet he thinks he nailed it.
He does a subtlety that other diplomats might. Another great scene with Wayans where he's talking to Jake about his articles. And Jake says, what about freedom of the press? And the way he says to him, tell me you're not that naive. It's just great.
And again, perfect, because like Jake, yes, you can tell he's got the instinct of a reporter, but he hasn't got that training. He hasn't got that time. So he makes some real rookie mistakes, but they don't seem stupid mistakes. They're anyone who might have been forced in this position, reporting on a war when you haven't got that much experience as a reporter already.
Yeah.
Pitch perfect. Again.
And you can see,
it is hopelessly naive.
Yeah, but you can see perfectly from Wayun is perfectly right here, because as far as he's concerned, all right, they have a non-aggression pact with Bajor. Cardassia has joined the Dominion, and as part of that non-aggression pact, Bajor has handed back the station to Cardassia. it isn't an occupation. He has
No.
full. He hasn't. They took it off the Federation, but the Federation never actually owned this station. The Federation were there as facilitators for the Bajorans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is. It's only an occupation if you're thinking of yourself as a Federation citizen, which, apart from Jake, they're not.
I mean, the only thing I would add to that is, it's the kind of like back and forward we have about the Dominion War in general. But I will just add to that, because your arguments make total sense. But at the same time, it's sort of like, it's a lovely station you've got here. Wouldn't it be a shame if it got blown apart? Or you could let the Kardashians take over. Like, it's totally your choice. I'm not forcing it.
I fully agree with. I fully agree with that. But from Wayu's point of view, they have taken the station back from the Federation for the Bajorans.
Yeah, it's justified from their point of view.
But you know what I mean. It's sort of
he's basically
it's diplomatically justified in what he
on
says.
paper. He's right.
Yeah,
in the real world, he's right. On paper, you're totally
yes, exactly. And then just one other decap bit. I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'll pick this out before we get onto the Cisco storyline. There's a bit where he is talking to Kira, and I made Cardassia strong again, and that just reminded me of someone who said they'd make America great again. I don't know why it resonated so much there. But his tone, his inflection when he says it, the meaning behind it all, I was just like, wow.
But then he gets really creepy with Kira in his office, and I can't imagine any any leader of a world who says we're going to make somewhere great again would be like that. I mean, and certainly not convicted.
Absolutely not.
Unless they're convicted of it, and then I'd have to believe it.
Yeah, but I can't believe any president of the United States of America would ever be convicted of that, and especially if they were and they're out of office. They definitely wouldn't have any chance of running again and winning. That we're going far-fetched here, is all I'm saying.
No, that's why this is science fiction, and nothing like this happens in reality.
Yeah.
So back on the other side of things then. So Cisco's reassigned to be like the area commander, I suppose. He's the coordinator of all the Starfleet operations and everything. He gets a cool space station. Not as cool as Deep Space Nine, but pretty cool.
Yeah, but this posting doesn't actually last very long, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's not like you've got an office for a few days while you train.
But we do get to meet who will become one of our practically main cast members, which is Admiral Ross. He's pretty much going to be our Admiral from now to the end of the series.
Is this his first appearance? I thought it was in...
I think so, yeah.
Wasn't he already in Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained?
That was Admiral Forrest.
Are you sure we haven't seen Admiral Ross before?
No,
I'm pretty sure we haven't seen him
Forrest
before.
is Enterprise.
Oh, sorry. Admiral... It was the guy who was in Babylon 5 playing the bad Admiral as well. No, anyway.
We've seen him before. Anyway, yeah. I mean, for me, the whole thing with this, though, is... I mean, this kind of actually ties up two of my things. I've realized two of my standing complaints marry together. I've said Cisco should have been captain from day one, like after they discovered the wormhole,
Mm-hmm.
And also that it doesn't make logical sense that he is the captain of the station and also the Defiant. They're two, there's two things.
Yeah.
It's a big enough job to have two people. If they had made him captain straight away, you could have made him admiral when he took over.
Yeah, you could have done.
Or you could have had, then Worf comes in, he captains the Defiant. Kira gets a bit of a promotion as kind of captain of the station, or the Bajoran equivalent underneath Admiral Cisco. Because even before the war, he gets to be he gets to command a few fleets, I believe, like here and there on episodes.
Yeah, he's definitely... This is where they start leaning on the Cisco is this brilliant military tactician sort of storyline, isn't it? And
but isn't everything he does more an admiral's job? Like all that tactical stuff he does.
It is, I think... I don't know. I think maybe they didn't want to promote him again, just for
that's
you.
What I mean.
Again, going back to that syndicated thing of we've called him captain now, so when you tune in, he's captain. We don't want him suddenly be admiral.
That's why if you do an emissary, this is perfectly set up now. Like, or even when he got the Defiant for him to become an admiral.
Well,
I think it would make sense
yeah,
because he's
no,
already
there
in
is-
charge of the space
actually-
station right on the by the wormhole and the ship.
Stephen Burr was actually on a podcast this week, and he was saying that like how it was written originally was for a commander for the station, but it was too young. But it was for a younger actor than what Avery Brooks was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they didn't change it. And he said, and like we know, Irish Stephen Burr came in later, and then he did make him a captain.
Yeah.
But he was saying that with Avery Brooks, he should have been a captain almost from the start.
Go on, Irish Stephen.
It was basically what he was saying, that it was written for a younger actor in mind when they wrote it initially,
and that's
Avery
why
Brooks
bears
was
and
great.
dragons are natural friends.
Mhm.
We get it. We think logically like this.
And so they go off on a mission. They're going to destroy the Ketracel White, and we get all this fun stuff about getting used to the Dominion ship, and you've got the little eyepiece, and Garak has to wear it because it gives everyone else a headache, and it's all good fun.
All I can think is all the times when Star Trek has predicted future technology, they tried their best with Google Glass, it just didn't work out.
Yeah, that's very true. And I like the thing of, my legs are hurting. Well, these weren't designed for chairs. Doesn't mean you can't put a chair in.
Chairs in.
Like,
Yeah, they can fit everything else, but no, we don't have chair fitting technology.
yeah, it's not like
and
you're going to be letting people look at the inside because they'll see that you're not Jem'Hadar. So
And it was like, there's no sick bay. I've had to put medical supplies in my quarters. And it's not like, what? They couldn't have taken a couple of the rooms and knocked a couple of walls out to make.
yeah, it's like, what have you been doing with this
generator.
ship for a year, lads?
Yeah.
Have you just been messing about? If Geordie had have had this ship at his fleet yards, he could have done all sorts with it.
And it's not like, what sort of stuff have you done? Because we put our DS9 crew on, and in a fortnight they've had to learn how to use the controls to be able to fly it. So what have they done for the last year? What have they? And you're right, it's what have they been doing?
Yeah. And, by the way, why does... Sorry, this is a very separate point, but why does O'Brien suddenly not like field rations? He loved them in the earlier series.
Yeah, I thought that.
Well, I
He knows
don't
when
think
they do this.
I'm not sure if he's saying that he doesn't like them.
Yes, he
I
does.
think, in this conversation with Nog,
Yeah.
I think he's sort of like going to Nog, seeing what you think in a few weeks.
Yeah, but then later on he goes, "Oh, I'd kill for
Yeah.
a sandwich."
Yeah.
It's very hard
Yeah,
to
true.
do.
Actually,
And plus,
yeah,
in later
Yeah.
episodes, they mention it again because I noticed this when I first watched it. It really always annoyed me. One of those silly little birds in my shoe kind of things.
yeah.
It's like in the
it's
earlier
our
series, he
character.
talks about how much he loves it, and then he gets given some Kardashian and goes, "No, Federation ones." He's even very specific. It's Federation field rations he wants. And then by now,
Maybe he's trying to put Nog off them so he wants more for himself.
Yeah.
okay, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. And then every other time,
We'll
he's
go
just
with
trying to
that.
go, "Oh no, they're disgusting. No, you wouldn't like this."
Yeah, you
like a
yeah.
cookie monster for field
No,
rations.
this beef stew's awful. This
Yeah.
Irish stew.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll eat it for you. You would hate it that much. I'll take this bullet. You could
I
just leave
think
it.
that's
No. You'd feel compelled to eat it if I left it.
And yeah, so they go to the White facility, and you get all this. They've got to work out the timings and everything. So you get Bashir to do his cool calculations and everything again.
Yeah,
And-
instead of using it like the computer that has a stopwatch, how long was that ship there with its communication? Oh, it took 2 minutes 58 seconds. You have to have Bashir count it.
Yeah, well, that's
by the way,
it. Exactly. He's doing the computer's job. He's relaying messages. He's doing everything. He's poor lad at the
Can I
minute.
call out? There's a lovely bullshit line here. You know, I love to call these out. It's like it goes, it'll be tricky. And Cisco goes, "Not if we get our calculations right." That's a tricky part, you fool. That's the
Yeah,
point.
that's
It
a
is
fair
tricky.
point. Yeah, it'll take a long time, but only if we go slowly.
Exactly. It's an oxymoron.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the bomb goes off. They're stuck without warp, and that leads us right into the next episode.
Which, by the way, if as they've established, if they don't warp out within a second before it blows, they will definitely die. They've definitely established
Definitely
Then
die.
it blows at the wrong time. They go, but we made it anyway. It's like, what?
Yeah. But what this does cause them to do is say damn a lot. You have that because we can't say any other swear word on syndicated TV. Apart from that one time O'Brien says bollocks, but we might get
bloody.
to that one.
He says bloody. Like, couldn't he go away with bloody here?
He probably could have called them wankers as well because the Americans
probably could have done. Buffy
did that a lot.
The wanking this, the wanking that.
Yeah, Buffy did that all the time because they didn't realize.
Yeah, Buffy did it a few times.
I think they could have got away with some because I seem to remember when they were released on DVD, there were a few which were, VHS. There were a few which were 15s. So
there were a couple of DS9s. Yeah,
like
but I think
this one certainly on streams 15.
Was this a 15?
I think that was more the
BBS. The scene that's coming up, I think why this is a 15.
Because the made for American TV to be TV PG or whatever, and then the BBFC does whatever it likes.
American TV is very strange because you can't have like any underage sex or drinking of underage, but you can go out with a machine gun and gun down everyone.
Well, absolutely.
I don't think it's just TV over there. But anyway,
that gets you a U.
But,
yeah.
But it becomes an 18 if or it's absolutely fine to burn books to
Yeah.
But if you get a drag actor reading a story to a kid, then that's
bad.
That's
really bad news.
Yeah.
And hopefully everyone who's listening knows that we're joking there. We're being very tongue in cheek.
Yeah. The tongue is definitely in cheek here.
But yeah, it's the BBFC does weird things. Like we've talked before about how they don't like nunchucks. They didn't like headbutts for a long time. You couldn't show a headbutt. Very, very strange ideas.
It's like words
it took us a long time in England to see the TNG episode where we have Tashiya's sister. Because it mentions the IRA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it went, because at the time, all that was still going on, the Troubles in Ireland, as we call them now. But it went, and the IRA were victorious as terrorists.
But every time, funnily enough, that got banned here. But if you watch every single Tasha Yar episode, she talks about her backstory. She does not get one sentence in before mentioning rape gangs, and that's fine. That's absolutely
it's very true.
That for the kids. It's very strange.
It is odd what passes, what censors, and what doesn't.
Yeah. Right, so like over here, and especially in Ireland, trust me, I've got an Irish mum. Bloody is like a comma. If you use that word on American TV, that's like a swear which is not allowed. Before the watershed.
Very true. So Dax gets injured then, and they crash on this planet, and then we start to get...
What gets me... I just want to go to what the part of this crash, because bear in mind at this point, there's only Garrick who can see what's going on outside the ship. Senses are down.
Yeah.
They've got into a nebula and they're in a gravity well, but they don't know what. And Garrick doesn't say, oh, we're going to crash on a planet. We've got this going on. He just goes... Hold on.
No, that's very Garak, though. I'm not going to tell you there's a planet coming.
I also love the way that it crashes. Isn't like you usually get a very sweeping kind of like flames coming out the back, but it just drops like a stone. It's a really nice
it does.
effect. I like that.
I thought this is like, that's showing that this is not coming in a controlled crash landing. This is
this
coming
is
down.
We want to show just how fucked they are. They're just going to drop like a stone. Yeah, it's great. Really
and we start to get some really cool stuff with the Jem'Hadar. Like we're starting to see they've got a lot more honor than, to use a Klingon phrase, than we might have seen before. And you get this thing of the third question the voters orders, so he won't be promoted to the first, even though they've not got a first or a second. But it's these power dynamics again. It's like, I'm going to refer to you as the third, even though...
Going back to last episode, Golda Cat pulled Wayun on this, didn't he, when he was handing the white out to the Jem'Hadar? He goes, you enjoy that, don't you, being in control?
Yeah, that's it.
And like, we see it here that the Vorta does know he's in charge, but you get YU, the previous episode, said, no, we're all equal. The founders are who are in command. I'm not.
Yeah, I think Wayne is a much more loyal soldier than this guy. And I also love the fact, I mean, I've got a very love-hate relationship with this storyline, only because it's like, in some places, it's so much like the other episode, which I even reference in this, where like the spin there was that the Jem'Hadar end up killing the Vorta, whereas it's sort of the other way around. This time, the Vorta screws over the Jem'Hadar. But up until then, there was so much similarity in this that it... Yeah,
I think this is probably a stronger episode.
It is, but it's a stronger take of one we've already seen.
Yes, true.
Ago,
Yeah. The Volta gets injured as well, and we have this sort of mirroring of you've got Dax lying out on a rock and you've got the Volta lying out on a rock. I suspect it's the same rock and that they filmed this on the same set on different days and just shot it from the opposite angle, but, you know.
No, they wouldn't do that.
No, you're right. It's a completely separate cave, and you can tell because everyone's facing that way in one and the other way in the other, so
exactly.
You're right.
And there's no way they'd have done this on separate days. It'd have been an hour in between.
Yeah, that's true.
I can probably though forgive any of my points about this storyline that I don't like, just for the fact that they heat phaser a rock. A phasered rock will always bring a smile to my face. It's when I'm bringing those classic touchstones.
I love that phaser setting. Heat up a rock.
We get to see the heat up a rock setting. We don't get to see the cut through rock setting, which is a shame. So that might have come in handy. They could have made Dax's bed more comfy if they'd.
Well, and Garrick uses it to, for the clothes to basically tie in them, it seems like.
To dry out all the clothes. I like the bit O'Brien ripped his pants and they have a good laugh about it. That's quite good.
Well, it's because that's what really upset him. That's when he got really upset. But it's like, no, he wasn't really upset about that. That was just the final little straw that broke. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, basically.
Although all of Dax's clothes get ruined, can you imagine early series Bashir? He would have been drooling, he would have been tripping over his own tongue. I mean,
he would have loved it. He would have loved it. But he's a much more mature man now than he once was. Nog and Garak, then they have that brilliant scene where Nog won't turn his back on Garak, basically.
I'm not walking in front of you. You stay in front.
Which is very sensible.
They tried to kill you last series. I mean, geez, Garak even jokes about it.
I mean, even without that incident, it's very, very sensible when dealing with Garak, I think.
But Garak even says, there's hope for you yet when he says, I'm not turning my back on you ever again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually added to what I was saying before about him and his relationship with Bashir. Now he knows he's super intelligent. I think he's really, in some ways, Garak's really thriving on all this. The chaos of it.
I think he is.
Engine for him.
Garak is an assassin that goes all over the galaxy normally on missions. And he's been stuck on DS9 for 6 years, 5 years, whatever it is. And suddenly he's out in the galaxy again fighting, and he loves it. I think he's having the time of his life.
Yeah, this is fun.
Because I think funnily enough, I think it gets back to that scene between him and Quark where he tries the root beer and he goes no, try it. He goes it's chlorine. It's worst thing is you come to love it after a while. And I think he has come to love the Federation in that same way. But now he's cut loose. He going back to our ways. All right, I hope the Federation win, but let's have a fucking crack on this one. Let's have some.
That's it. And he gets to do that bit where they meet the Volta, and he thinks, "I'm going to try and blag this. I'm going to pretend that I work for the Cardassians." Yeah.
Although, how quickly? I was just going to say, how quickly does he fold after he goes why don't you come back to me? You go, well, can't think of a life for that. Well, he kind of just gone and say, well, I infiltrated them, of course.
And I stole it from someone, and it's the only way.
I escaped from their ship. It's the only way I could control parts on the ship.
Every time I've watched this episode, that's always jarred me since the first time I watched it. I've always been
too easy.
He's the master of bullshit, and he can't think of one lie. He just goes, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that. No, he's Garrett. He loves the fact that
exactly. I took it.
I think it's one of those that it's out of character, but how are you going to drive the story? You need to move the story forward. You can't have it being taking a long time in being broken. And
it's true, but I think
I was going to say I think it's lazy writing.
Yeah. Because you could have done an easy fix with Nog saying something which gives the game away. Where he's lying, he goes, "Why did you have this combat?" It's like, see, I told you to ask about the combat. It's like, Nog, I was going to lie my way out of this, and you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have easily done that, or they could have had the Vorta, well, I've got this report on who's on this ship, and your name's on it. Or, there's all sorts they could have done.
Here we go, washed up. Done.
While on the station, then we talked about it a bit anyway, but we've got Kira's routine. She's just going through the motions, and they're talking about a protest coming up. And again, this is a bit where we're completely in the realm of science fiction, because they say they're trying to abolish the right to protest. And obviously that's not something that had ever happened in real life whatsoever.
No.
You'd never get that in this country.
No.
Do you think...
Absolutely not.
Do you think the Tories and Republicans watch back like Star Trek and like follow the baddies for ideas?
Yeah, they get ideas from it.
Do you think this is where... Like we've often said, haven't we? What do people with right-wing politics get out of Star Trek? Because we know people who've got right-wing politics.
Yeah, it's true.
Star Trek. And you might have just hit the nail on the head there. They are rooting all the way through for the Klingons and the Cardassians and the Dominion. It's like
no, they do,
and maybe they're sort of like watching maybe episode 22 of season 7 and going, now if we do that instead.
Yeah, I was going to say they do take some ideas from the good guys, because I don't know if you caught Prime Minister's Question Time this week, but Suella Breverman's actually going to put a series of replicating mines across the English Channel to stop any small boats coming across. So we've got that to look forward to.
She just puts one normal mine out after saying she's going to do that. But it's like,
that's true. We're not efficient enough to do that. We don't have a nog in the British government.
I mean, my kind of thing is...
Rom.
I think
when
they watch it, they see the kind of like what we see now as like either imperfections of the way we thought at the time, or kind of the studio pushing for certain things to be a certain way at the time, like stuff which Gene Roddenberry always sought to perfect as he went on. He was always evolving the image, like as did everyone else who kind of like contributed to Star Trek. Most of the arc of it was to improve. Berman maybe aside anyway. But like, I think they see all those things which we see as now faults in the original series just based on the time it was made in. They see those are things as what were good about Star Trek, which as they're slowly eked out to make the vision of Star Trek more appropriate to what Star Trek's mission is, they're like, it's getting too woke. It's like, no, this was always what they were working towards. It's just we had to work within the times it was made in.
Yeah, it was. I mean, as I've said before, we won't get into the whole woke thing, but these people who said, oh, Picard's way too woke, it's like, Jean-Luc Picard is the most woke character that has ever... he's the epitome of woke, so don't give me that rubbish. Anyway, so Cisco, he has a good scene with the Vorta, and I love this Vorta guy, by the way. He's so slimy. It's such a great performance.
Yeah.
But he has this scene where he's trying to work on him, and then Dax just goes, do you think he bought any of that, when he walks out? And it's just a great scene.
Yeah, I've got not too much to add to that. I mean, I do
like when he's getting operated on, and the Jem'Hadar, they're all gathered round, and Bashir's there. I'm not going to hurt him, and it's like, no, they want to see inside me.
Yeah, it's like looking inside a god. Yeah.
Well, it's like you every other situation.
They don't view the
no, not a god, but yeah,
they view as overseers.
The way I see it is that, like in any other mission that the Vorta or anyone from the Founders goes on, again, it's that thing of the position of power. When they're in the position of power, it's very easy for them to all toe the line. It's when they're in the position of weakness like this, even Wayne to a degree is in a position of vulnerability compared to where he is usually. You see, you sort of sort out the wheat from the chaff at this kind of moment. You see that Wayne is a die-in-the-wool kind of loyalist, whereas this guy's flaky. Like, as soon as he gets any difficulty, he's like, no, okay, yeah, I'll just sell you out. That's fine, as long as I live.
it does expose a bit of a flaw in the founders' thinking. Like, okay, we'll genetically engineer these super soldiers effectively who are addicted to drugs so we can control them. And someone should have maybe put their hand up and say, well, what if they run out of the drugs and they can't get any more? Oh, well, they'll just kill everybody then each other. Oh, okay.
I think this is something that doesn't generally happen.
No.
It's something that you need extraordinary circumstances. So it's sort of like, no, it's a risk worth taking. It'll happen. If it happened in the Gamma Quadrant before they found the way to the Alpha Quadrant, where they just had Dominion space, the only time this might happen is if a ship accident, something went wrong and the ship crash lands.
Yeah.
This might happen, and they might be the odd occasions they're talking about. But here you've got them cut off from the Dominions, from the Gamma Quadrant. And that, it's really...
But you do see in other episodes when they, like a ship crashes or whatever, all you have to do, instead of make it white, just have little kind of like little... very small kind of explosive injected into their brain so that they've got to reset it every 24 hours. And if the Vorta doesn't reset it, then they die. And then you don't have to replicate anything. You can just reset it every time.
Yeah, maybe it's if it. Nah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure they could have thought of other ways, but then we see how scummy this Vorta is because he's like, right, Sisko, I'll tell you exactly what they're gonna do, and he does force Sisko's hand on this because I'm going to send them either way. So they're either going to kill you or you can use the information I've given you to kill them. And it is like we do get an argument on the ethics of it, but I love the fact that Sisko has to put his foot down and go, no, we're doing it. So
this isn't a debate. we have no option. But he does try to actually...
He does try something right at the end.
He's already spoken to the Third, and he's already established with the Third that the Vorta is doing things for his own ends, not looking after Jemadar. And he does have a chat with him. He goes, look, flag a truce, let's meet. I'm going to tell you, he has told us where you're coming from. He has told us this so that we can kill you all. Join us, we can look after you, and it's the same option. Our doctor can sedate you, we can look after you, we can make sure till you get some white so you're not.
Yeah, I mean, this is where tactician Sisko also comes out, because it's like there are so many other captains we've seen in other episodes where captains just go for blood, like they just want to like eliminate the enemy. Whereas he thought about like he realizes the Jemadar you can reason with in some situations,
but
you can get around.
I also had a thought about this while I was watching it this time, and I think if this is the first time Sisko had the conversation, it had got through to the Third. But he had the conversation previously and said what had happened on another mission when the First had killed the Third.
Yeah.
So you've got the Third this time going, no, I will not betray what we stand for. And he becomes very stubborn about it because, and I think Sisko has put that into him, making him that honourable.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
That's a good point. Yeah,
how he's doing it.
See, to me, I like that. That's a great sort of theory on it. But I think he's just a really loyal Jemadar. Like the other ones, made a choice in that moment. They're both loyal in their own way.
Because you get from the first conversation that the Third knows what's going on. He is seen through what
I think he does
doing already, but. If he hadn't had that conversation with Sisko, where Sisko was almost trying to push him then to betray the Vorta.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
If he hadn't had that conversation and then it had got to this point where the Vorta had set the Jemadar up and Sisko had gone and talked and gone, well, look, he's given us where you are. He's throwing you to the slaughter so he can survive and we can kill you. we can save you. I think he'd have turned at that point.
I don't. I mean, for me personally, I think the setup at the beginning, the fact that he's been made a third because he didn't follow the rules, he is already on a track to I will not deviate from the rules ever again. It doesn't matter what's happening.
Yeah.
And maybe if the same had happened to the other Vorta, the other Jumper Dark, the other episode, the same might have happened.
I just thought maybe because of that first conversation with Cisco swayed it.
Oh,
it could well be, yeah.
Both very kind of possible theories, I think. Yeah.
Wrapping up the station storyline then. So this all culminates in this tragedy where you've got the Vedic, who was going to protest, was told they couldn't.
Protest.
Well, she does, and the way she chooses to do it is by hanging herself on the promenade, which is, we talked about what you can get away with in syndication and whatnot. It's a shocking image.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's something you might find harder to get away with in a family show now. I don't think you would.
I was watching this and I'm thinking, how did they get away with this? And I'm trying to think, was this scene cut originally or not?
I don't know. I can't imagine they could have done because
I remember seeing it. I just think that at that time, issues around self-harm weren't as being recognized.
Maybe that's it, yeah.
Like there used to be a stigma around suicide that it was kind of someone was too weak, whereas now we understand. It's the opposite of being weak. You think that the only thing you can do in that situation to make things better for people around you is to do that. Even in this case, even though it's very different from in a depression way, she sees that as the only way to make things better for the people around her. Even though, you don't want someone to commit suicide, it's not weakness at all. And we understand that now. At the time, I think even in the 90s, we hadn't got there yet.
Yeah.
And it's that evolution which makes it so shocking to us now that was not recognized at the time.
Yeah, I think this one would get this is one of them ones where when they revise the ratings, it'd go up rather than down with this one.
I mean, you look at the phraseology we still use to this day. In fact, people are trying to change it. It's like we committed suicide because it was a crime. People are now kind of pushing for it to be completed suicide.
Yeah, or died by suicide.
Yeah, there's different terminology, but anything but committed because it's framed.
I imagine that the reason that you probably have a massive pushback on it being changed would have something to do with the insurance companies because they don't pay insurance on suicide.
Well, it's that, and also people are just it's that whole thing of it's why some people push back on using terms like they, for Ezra, just to get back to him because we mentioned him earlier. Them, sorry, you see, even in then, I'm trying to phrase it correctly and I make mistakes. But there's other people who are just no, I'm used to using these words, so I can't ever possibly change words. And because they're used to saying things a certain way. And I'm making mistakes because I'm used to saying something a certain way. It's not because I'm trying to, though. But some people get so angry about it. It's it's more important for me to say things the way I've always said them than for that person to be respected.
Yeah, just a quick shout out to that teacher who got struck off for refusing to use pronouns.
Hey, screw you. Yeah, by the way, for anyone in audio, we weren't going as in good. We were sticking our fingers up as we'd said that.
Yes, we were.
It's I struggle with pronouns. I've got 10 years on YouTube, so I was brought up even before that, and it's an age group thing.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I have no problem with trying to use people's pronouns, but I will get them wrong. Yeah, and it's not deliberate. And it's not a wanting to stick to what I know. It's just that I'll get them wrong. And it's not
teaching. It's teaching your brain to do something different that you've done one way.
I think that you have to have from the other side that the people who do choose different pronouns have to be understanding that they might have transitioned whatever, and they want to be she now instead of he. That we are going to make mistakes, and it's not that we're sticking our feet in, that we're being stubborn to refer to them how they want to. It's that we're used to one thing, and our brains, we're struggling for our brains to actually work that way. We don't.
Yeah, we would never want to cause offense. We would never want to use the wrong pronouns, but sometimes
I know that there are people. I know that there are people who do it deliberately.
Yeah. And we're not using the fact that we're making mistakes as an excuse, because we always want to strive to do better. It's just the fact of the situation. It's never malicious. It's just it comes up when you're used to something. I mean, even Susie Eddie Izzard, as she is now kind of going by. I saw an advert the other day where she was clearly, she's wearing her more feminine look, which she favors these days, but it still said Eddie Izzard at the bottom, which is like, and that was an advert. Like, that was something which is probably
there was an interview with her in the papers this week.
No,
she was saying that at times she will still go by him, and she understands people who who say him as opposed to her, and not the ones who are doing our maliciousness, but the ones that are just used to. I'm going to see Eddie Izzard because he's had the stage name for how many years?
Oh, I think
She's
that's why.
Stage name.
I've seen her live years ago, and
I did.
The reason why she did it that way of keeping Eddie in the name is so, like, again, it was I think it was an olive branch. It's like, look, I want people to refer to me as she. I want to use the name Susie. However, like you say, I realize people are going to make mistakes, and I want to kind of make this inclusive and try and bring people along by doing this. And it's not anyone's job to make us feel good or do that. But the fact that she did that, I think is a good, fair play to her.
I think it's a good way to do it, that she's showing you and understanding that people might all accept how she's moved and try to call her by the right pronoun. But people are used to is Eddie Izzard.
And that just shows how crazy our minds are, that somehow we've ended up on pronoun usage from a Vedic hanging herself on the promenade. But there we go.
So very sad.
Yes, wrapping up the episode then. This prompts Kira to get out of her slump, and she forms the new resistance, which so far consists of 3 people, but she'll get there. We're in a 6-episode arc. And we're only a third of the way in.
We do have Keenan walks through all his Jem'Hadar soldiers, surrenders to Cisco, and it really looks like how he walks past them, like he just doesn't care. I just want to say something. I just want to say something about the guys who played the Jem'Hadar in this episode.
Yeah,
and I don't know how they did it. If it's how if they all had ropes on the back, how they were pulled back when they were shot, or if it's just great stunt work by the guys. But the running forward and then the dive backwards sort of mid-step. And I just want to put a big shout out that is if it's ropes that put them back, fair enough. If these guys are doing that in the run, that is amazing stunt work.
Yeah,
it's probably something that you wouldn't. Because I've watched it so many times, you notice the little things the more you watch these.
Oh God, and I love things like that. I mean, there's certain kind of stunt work which is just phenomenal, and you don't, because you're just in the moment, you don't always notice it. But like you say, that's stunt work.
You normally think stunt work, don't you? Jumping off a building or getting blown up in a car doing car work, but to run like that and then suddenly sort of throw yourself backwards like you're being shot is quite.
It takes a bit of doing. I mean,
I've never stopped to think why have they got the Wicker Man shot that you were talking about earlier. It's the same thing. I've never thought how they did that, but now you say it. Yeah, of course, that's very impressive.
It's like when you watch it, and I was thinking, you watch so many of these shows, and you go to something like the A-Team. Well, not the A-Team, because the A-Team shot hundreds of shots and never hit anybody.
Stormtroopers of their day.
But you get loads of them where people get hit and they just go down. And this is realistic. They're running and they're getting hit by a phaser ball, and it throws them backwards. It just looked awesome.
Can't agree more. Just to go back on the new resistance, just very quickly. It's kind of the other interesting thing with that is that it's Kira who sort of gets Odo into the position he ends up being in, and she's the one who then goes away from it. It's really weird. It's like I've never thought about it before until watching it today, how they change lanes. And it's like she gets annoyed that he's gone to them, but then kind of understands. And that's just before she has the change of heart. If she had the change of heart a bit earlier, he might never have turned towards the founders as he does in a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've got all that good stuff to come.
I got carried away with the stunt work, but we want to come back to Keenan. And I think it's 9 episodes we have to go until Keenan gets his just desserts for this.
Oh, do we? I forgot.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, because he's a robot. He's worked like a puppet every day. He is basically Weekend at Bernie.
Oh, of course.
He gets Weekend at Bernie.
Sorry.
There's not many times when you get a Weekend at Bernie outside Weekend at Bernie or Weekend at Bernie 2. This is the only example I can think where it happens.
It's true. But before we get to all that good stuff, then we're going to have a brief Klingon interlude next week. I'm looking forward to rewatching that one because, from what I remember, that's kind of where the water got in on this arc. But we'll see. It's probably due a reappraisal, and also the follow-up episode to that as well.
So we're on episode 3 and episode 4.
Episode 3 and 4
also,
of season
on the Deep
6.
Space Nine soundtrack, it's I believe it's track 7 is the Klingon interlude.
Yes, absolutely, and that's also included in that opera. You have to change. That's when you
coming soon to a HMV near you.
Yeah, that's when you change your isolinear rod over. Is when you get to the interlude. So if you want to get in touch with us in the meantime, we're on Twitter at RetrekPod. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com. You can have a look for us on all over social media. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Elliot's got Retrek Model Studios going on YouTube. And what are you working on at the moment? Still the Ferengi Shuttle?
I'm still on the Ferengi Shuttle. I'm doing all the... last episode I put out, I'd closed up the cabin. Next episode, I've got the hull painted and we have a look at the cabin in place and a couple of things I need to put to alter.
Excellent.
And that video will be out on, I think I'll release it Friday. I've actually already filmed it. So
excellent.
That's Treasure you're working on.
Yeah, I'm doing Quark's Treasure. So I'm not doing the shuttle. We're going to save the Magnificent Ferengi. That's
right. And Dr. Squee, what have we got going on with the Dr. Squee show?
I'm going to keep this quick. Because I've been doing like 1,000,001 learning modules ready for the new job I started today, and also doing exam invigilation as a temp job. I have no idea. Hopefully, I'll have something by the time it comes out on Tuesday, 6 till 8, swradio.co.uk or drsqueed.com. And might be a bit of news in the next couple of weeks about the show and a little bit of a change to it just because of my work, but it's not going anywhere, but it's just evolving a little bit.
Cool.
Excellent.
We'll look forward to that.
We will indeed. So thanks for trekking with us this time. We'll see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Goodbye.
LLAP Dragon!